April 5, 2006. 2 p.m. Pollock, Louisiana. United States Penitentiary, a federal maximum security prison. A forklift picks up a pallet of old mailbags, carries it through the prison manufacturing floor, out through a loading dock, and deposits it in a warehouse on the other side of the fence. Outside the wire, free. The pallet sits in the warehouse, still, silent, and then it moves. From inside the pile of mailbags, a hand pushes through. A breathing tube is removed. A man cuts himself free from a custom-built escape pod, handmade from prison materials, fitted with insulation and a flashlight. He stands up, brushes himself off. He looks around. No guards. No alarms. He walks out of the warehouse, into daylight, into freedom. He has just mailed himself out of a maximum security federal prison, in broad daylight, using nothing but a pile of old postal bags and the most dangerous weapon in that prison, his brain. Before we go inside the mind of the most creative prison escape artist America has ever produced, subscribe right now. Because this story has 3 escapes. 3. Each one more impossible than the last. And the ending will make you question everything you think you know about how prisons work. Hit like. Drop a comment. Is this man a genius or a monster? Let's start at the beginning. In Oklahoma, where a very smart kid made a very bad decision. December 19, 1958. Altus, Oklahoma. Richard Lee McNair is born. His father is a reserve police officer. The family is working class. Stable. No obvious red flags. No documented abuse. No criminal history. McNair grows up described by his brother Phil as about the smartest person I've ever met. Smart, athletic, curious. A boy who could take anything apart and put it back together. Who understood systems, how things worked, and how to make them work for him. McNair joins the United States Air Force. He becomes a military police sergeant, stationed at Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. Cold, flat, isolated, a long way from Oklahoma, and somewhere along the way, in the cold, flat isolation of a North Dakota winter, something inside McNair starts calculating. Not crimes exactly, just angles, just possibilities, just a question every smart man with no outlet eventually asks himself. What could I get away with? November 17, 1987. Night. Minot, North Dakota. McNair is 28 years old. He has been removed from his Air Force position, suspected of theft. He has been working as an informant for the Minot Police Department. And on this night, for reasons that have never been fully explained, he decides to rob a grain elevator operated by the Farmers Union. He breaks in. He is inside. And then 2 men arrive. Truck driver Jerry Thies and another man, Richard Kitzman. They surprise McNair. McNair pulls his .38 caliber firearm. He shoots Thies once. Thies dies. He shoots Kitzman 4 times. Kitzman survives. 2 of the 4 bullets miss. McNair runs. He disappears into the North Dakota night. And for several months, the police have nothing. Just a crime scene. And a dead truck driver who came to work on the wrong night. February 1988. The police call McNair in for questioning. He comes willingly. He surrenders a concealed handgun. Physical evidence, his palm print on a door at the scene, has already sealed his fate. He knows it. The detectives leave him alone in the interrogation room. He is handcuffed to a chair. There are 3 detectives in the building. And McNair, the military police sergeant who understands procedure, who understands systems, who understands what a man with lip balm and thin wrists can do, gets to work. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out the lip balm, coats his hands, squeezes, and slides free. He walks out of the room, through the building, jumps out of a 3rd-floor window, leads police on a foot chase through the streets of Minot. He is caught within hours. But the message has been sent. The most dangerous thing in any room containing Richard Lee McNair is Richard Lee McNair. May 25, 1988. Ward County District Court, North Dakota. Judge William McFeely. The sentence: 2 consecutive life terms without possibility of parole for murder and attempted murder. plus 30 years for burglary, served concurrently. McNair is 29 years old. He will never be released. There is no parole. There is no end date. He goes to the North Dakota State Penitentiary in Bismarck. And the state of North Dakota, having just sentenced the smartest, most dangerous inmate it has ever housed, makes his bed, closes his cell door, and goes home. That was their mistake. Hold on, before we get to escape number 2, I need you to subscribe if you haven't already. Because here is what makes this story different from every other prison break you have ever seen. McNair doesn't just escape. He studies each prison. He analyzes the system. He finds the one flaw. And then, methodically, patiently, over months, he exploits it. Drop a comment. Could you have caught this man? Keep watching. October 9th, 1992. North Dakota State Penitentiary, Bismarck. McNair has served 4 years. He has spent those 4 years being a model prisoner. Crime prevention programs for teenagers. Good behavior reports. Earning trust. Not because he has reformed, because he is watching. Studying the layout. Mapping the facility in his mind. He identifies a weakness in the education wing. A ventilation duct. Wide enough for a man of his build. He recruits 2 other inmates. On the evening of October 9th, they crawl through the duct, emerge onto a roof, cross multiple rooftops in the dark, and drop over the outer wall. 3 men. Into the North Dakota night. His 2 companions are caught within hours. Within days. McNair is not. McNair grows his hair long, dyes it blonde, steals cars from dealerships. He knows exactly where the keys and cash are kept because he once worked as a car salesman. He avoids GPS-equipped vehicles. He drives white vans. Nothing conspicuous. Nothing memorable. He stays on the move across the United States for 10 months. Until July 5, 1993. Grand Island, Nebraska. He is caught trying to break into a car dealership. 10 months. And they only find him by accident. After the second escape, North Dakota is done with McNair. They classify him as a problem inmate. They arrange a transfer through the Interstate Compact to Minnesota Correctional Facility, Oak Park Heights. Maximum security. McNair arrives, studies it, decides he cannot escape from this facility, makes a calculated decision. He stages a sit-down strike, a deliberate act of nonviolent disruption, gets himself sent back to North Dakota, then transferred to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. He is assigned to the United States Penitentiary, Florence High, right next to ADX Florence, the Alcatraz of the Rockies. McNair looks at Florence High, studies it, decides he cannot escape, makes another move. He requests a transfer to USP Pollock in Louisiana, citing that it is marginally closer to his parents' home in Oklahoma. The Bureau of Prisons grants the transfer. McNair arrives at Pollock. He looks at the facility. He looks at the layout. He looks at the manufacturing area. He looks at the mailbags. And he smiles. McNair requests work duty in the manufacturing area. He gets it. His job is to repair old torn mailbags, stitching them back together so they can be returned to post offices for reuse. He holds this position for months. Every day he is in that workshop, he is not working. He is engineering. He studies the workflow, how the pallets are built, how they are moved, when the forklift comes, what time the loading dock is open, where the warehouse is on the other side of the fence, whether the shrink wrap on a pallet is inspected or just sealed, whether anyone counts the bags before they go out, whether any sensor, camera, or guard can see inside a sealed pallet. The answer to every question is the same. No. Nobody checks. Nobody looks. Nobody counts. The system trusts the process. And McNair is about to become part of the process. Working with the materials available in the prison manufacturing shop, McNair constructs what investigators would later call an escape pod. It is built inside a large mailbag, reinforced with materials from the workshop. Insulated against heat, the Louisiana sun turns sealed pallets into ovens. McNair fits it with a breathing tube so he will not suffocate. He packs it with a flashlight. and a blade to cut himself free once he reaches the warehouse. The pod is designed to be invisible from the outside, buried under a pile of other mailbags on a standard shipping pallet. It is then shrink-wrapped along with the rest of the pallet. On April 5, 2006, McNair climbs into the pod, pulls the bags over himself, and waits. He is 47 years old. He has been in prison for 18 years. And he is the calmest person in the building. Real quick, if you're still watching, you need to subscribe. Because what happens next is the part that makes this story legendary. The forklift, the warehouse, the dashcam, the officer who let the most wanted man in America walk away. Comment below. Would you have spotted him? Now, back to the loading dock. The forklift arrives. The driver lifts the pallet, mailbags, shrink wrap, and Richard Lee McNair buried inside. Carries it across the manufacturing floor, through the loading dock, out through the gate, into the warehouse on the other side of the perimeter fence. The forklift sets the pallet down. The driver leaves. The warehouse is empty. McNair waits. Minutes pass. He can hear nothing. He activates the flashlight, finds the blade, cuts through the shrink wrap from inside, pushes through the mailbags, and stands up inside the warehouse. Free. He has 5 hours before prison staff will notice he is missing. He knows this because he calculated it. He knows the shift rotation. He knows the count schedule. He knows exactly how much time he has. He walks out of the warehouse into the Louisiana afternoon, and he starts running. McNair runs down a set of railroad tracks near the town of Ball, Louisiana. He is wearing a white tank top and shorts, civilian clothing he smuggled into the escape pod. He looks like a jogger. And then a police cruiser slows beside him. Officer Carl Bordelon, Ball Police Department. Bordelon is aware of the escape. He has been given a description. He stops McNair. What follows is 9 minutes and 40 seconds of footage that has been watched millions of times online. McNair is calm. He is loose-limbed. He jogs in place while talking to Bordelon. He gives 2 different aliases, Robert Jones, then Jimmy Jones. 5 minutes apart. Bordelon doesn't notice the discrepancy. McNair says he is in town helping with a Hurricane Katrina roofing project, that he left his ID back at the motel, that he likes to jog. Bordelon calls dispatch, gets a description over the radio, looks at McNair, looks at the radio. The description does not match the man in front of him, partly because the prison photo on file is 6 months old and low quality, and partly because McNair has made himself look completely different. Bordelon lets him go. "Be careful, buddy," the officer says. McNair waves and goes back to jogging toward freedom, and Bordelon drives away. The most wanted man in America just talked his way past a cop on a rural Louisiana road, on camera, for all of it to be caught on dashcam. McNair moves north, into Canada. He knows the border is the key. Once across, the jurisdictional complexity multiplies. He steals only white vehicles, the most common color, the least memorable. He avoids trucks with GPS. He uses aliases Lee Richards, Robert Jones, Jimmy Jones. He carries fake identification, a passable Alaska driver's license. He produces himself using a scanner, Photoshop, and a pet ID website. He stays in motels. He visits libraries. He tracks his own case online, following news coverage of a manhunt. In one incident, he returns to a motel near Chilliwack, British Columbia, to find it surrounded by a SWAT team, responding to a different incident entirely. McNair calmly drives away. He sends a Christmas card to his former prison warden in North Dakota, just to let him know he is doing well. He is placed on the U.S. Marshal's 15 Most Wanted list, the first federal prison escapee to make it since 1991. America's Most Wanted airs his story 11 times. And for 18 months, nobody finds him. October 24, 2007. Campbellton, New Brunswick, Canada. A 6-week rookie constable named Stefan Gagnon spots a van in downtown Campbellton. Something about it catches his eye. He runs the plates. The van is stolen. The next day, October 25th, police surround the van. McNair is inside. He tries to run. A police officer tackles him to the ground. He is 48 years old. He has been free for 18 months and 20 days. He is cooperative after the arrest. He jokes with the officers. When one asks him what the reward for his capture was, McNair says, $25,000. The officer says, "That's not much." McNair replies, "All the government money is tied up in Osama bin Laden's reward." He is extradited to the United States. And the system, embarrassed, outraged, and deeply impressed, sends him to the one place it believes even Richard Lee McNair cannot escape. ADX Florence. Florence, Colorado. The most secure prison in the United States. Home to the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski. Rogue FBI agent Robert Hansen. Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Oklahoma City bomber Terry Nichols. Mafia leaders. Al-Qaeda operatives. And now, Richard Lee McNair. Inmates at ADX spend 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. Their cells are concrete. The furniture is concrete. Even the desk is concrete, bolted to the wall. There are no metal surfaces, no edges, nothing that could be fashioned into a tool or a weapon. Every surface in ADX Florence has been designed by engineers who knew exactly who would be living inside. McNair described his location as the most secure section of the most secure prison in the world. He adds, "Thank God for prisons. There are some very sick people in here. Animals you would never want living near your family or the public in general." From inside ADX Florence, McNair begins corresponding with a Canadian journalist named Byron Christopher. The letters are lengthy, reflective, detailed. McNair describes his escapes in precise mechanical terms, the materials, the measurements, the timing. He reflects on the prison system. He criticizes the dehumanizing effects of solitary confinement, the sensory deprivation, the psychological toll of years without human contact. He describes his escapes not as acts of malice, but as instinctive responses to captivity. Freedom, he writes, is an innate human drive. He also expresses remorse, repeatedly, for the 1987 shooting. He calls it a tragic error born of panic during a burglary gone wrong. Jerry Thies was a truck driver from Minnesota. He had gone to work that morning not knowing it would be his last day. McNair knows that, and he lives with it. Christopher compiles the letters into a book, The Man Who Mailed Himself Out of Jail. It is published in 2013. Tim Schwetzel was the warden at McNair's prison in North Dakota, the man who watched McNair up close for years, who read his file, who supervised his behavior. What did he say about Richard Lee McNair? "I think he's a smart guy." That's it. Not dangerous, not evil, not monstrous, smart. And while McNair was a fugitive, on the run for a year and a half, crossing international borders, evading every law enforcement agency in North America, he sent Schwetzel a Christmas card. From wherever he was hiding, just a Christmas card. The man who was supposed to be keeping McNair behind bars received a Christmas card from McNair and kept it. Officer Carl Bordelon of the Ball Police Department died in 2015 at the age of 51. He became assistant police chief before his death. He is remembered as a good officer who was put in an impossible situation. The photo of McNair he had been given was 6 months old and low quality. The physical description from the radio did not match the man standing in front of him. McNair had deliberately changed his appearance. And McNair was calm, relaxed, jogging in place, telling a plausible story about Katrina relief work. Bordelon gave the description over the radio while standing next to McNair. He looked at the radio. He looked at the man. And he made a decision that any reasonable police officer might have made. He let him go. The dashcam footage became famous. McNair became famous. And Bordelon spent the rest of his career fielding questions about the 9 minutes and 40 seconds that put his face on every true crime program in America. He handled it with grace. He was a good man. He was just up against a better plan. Phil McNair, Richard's brother, has spoken about his sibling in multiple interviews. "He is about the smartest person I've ever met," Phil said. "And then he was a good guy that I always admired, until he made bad choices." Good guy, smartest person, bad choices. 3 phrases that carry the entire weight of this story. Because Richard Lee McNair did not grow up in poverty, did not grow up in violence, did not grow up with every door closed and every path blocked. He grew up with a reserve police officer father, a working family, a brain that could have taken him anywhere. And he used it to shoot a truck driver at a grain elevator at midnight for a few $100s. And then he used it to escape from prison 3 times. The same brain, the same talent, 2 completely different applications. Here is what the escape from USP Pollock revealed about the American prison system. The manufacturing program, designed to give inmates skills and structure, gave Richard Lee McNair access to materials, tools, and workflow patterns that he used to engineer an escape. The low-quality, outdated mugshot given to police, combined with vague radio descriptions, meant that a trained officer standing next to the most wanted man in America could not identify him. The shrink-wrapped pallet of mailbags was never inspected before it left the facility, because it never had been before, and nobody expected it to need to be. Every single failure was a systems failure, not a people failure. The guards were not negligent. The officer was not incompetent. The system had gaps. And McNair, with 18 years and nothing but time, had found every single one. As of 2025, Richard Lee McNair is 66 years old. He is incarcerated at USP McCreary in Kentucky, transferred from ADX Florence in November 2022, then briefly through the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City, then to Florence High, then to McCreary in October 2023. His disciplinary record has been clean since 2008. He has not attempted another escape. He writes. He reflects. He is eligible for parole consideration by the North Dakota Parole Board after serving 30 years on his life sentences, a decision that remains pending. No release has been granted. He is a 66-year-old man who killed a truck driver, escaped 3 times, and spent the rest of his life inside concrete boxes of varying security levels. His escapes made him famous. His crime made him a prisoner. And the gap between those 2 things is where this story lives. The 2006 escape from USP Pollock directly changed federal prison procedures across the United States. The Bureau of Prisons overhauled inspection protocols for all outgoing shipments from prison manufacturing programs. Pallets are now inspected before they leave facilities. Shrink-wrap loads are screened. Photo databases for wanted inmates are updated regularly. Descriptions given to police are now accompanied by multiple recent photographs. These changes did not exist before McNair. He was not trying to reform the prison system. He was trying to escape it. But in escaping it, he exposed every gap. And the system, embarrassed and outraged, quietly closed every one. In the world of prison security, Richard Lee McNair is the man who changed the rulebook. Not by writing it, by breaking it. Richard Lee McNair mailed himself out of a maximum security federal prison on April 5, 2006. He used a breathing tube, a flashlight, a blade, and months of patient observation. He walked out of the warehouse into daylight. He talked his way past a police officer on a rural Louisiana road. And he stayed free for 18 months. 3 escapes from 3 different institutions. Lip balm, a ventilation duct, a pile of old mailbags, and the most dangerous weapon in any room, his brain. He is 66 years old. He is in a Kentucky federal prison, and the system that spent 37 years trying to hold him has, for now, succeeded. If you want more stories like this, escapes that expose the cracks in maximum security systems, check out my video on the greatest prison breaks in American history. Link on screen. Subscribe, because I cover cases like this every single week. And comment below, is Richard Lee McNair a genius or a monster? Can he be both? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.